So walk and talk with Jay. The last part of the video unfortunately didn't come out. However, we're going to do some more walk and talks. We're going to do Forest Bank. He had a bit of a rough ride in there on his last recall. I thought I'd just show a few shots of the main man for all his fans. Hope you enjoy. Ciao for now. Thanks for coming. How do? Back at the Princess Castle. Thought I'd do another walk and talk, seeing as they went down well and people enjoyed them. Who are you?
I'm Jermaine.
How do?
How you doing?
Jay.
Ex-prisoner IPP.
Ex-prisoner IPP. Just briefly tell people what an IPP prisoner is.
It's a sentence that they started using in 2005, from April 2005, indeterminate sentence for the public's protection. And it's basically a life sentence without a life sentence.
Move that way so we get the Princess Castle in the background.
It comes with a tariff, and you have to go in front of the parole board. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get out, so they give you loads of courses and things.
Listen,
like
Jay, I've just told you, right? 3 people I've met and interviewed.
Yep.
Yeah. Them 3 brothers, one's coming up to 13 years on a 2-year tariff. One's just coming up to 16 years on a 2.5-year tariff. And one is going to hit 20 years on a 3-year tariff. What do you think of that? Them lads have not seen the light of day. If you add it up, it's somewhere round about 50 years, 45, 50 years between them for what should have been a 6.5-year sentence.
I'll tell you why it's ridiculous, Sam, because if you've got someone that's doing a 2-year tariff, whatever their crime was, you double that, his sentence would have been 4 years. So if he's been in 16 years, it far outweighs the crime. Far outweighs the crime.
How do we get them out, Jay?
The government needs to wake up and smell the coffee, and everybody's got, you know, the families have to keep fighting. You know, the laws have to change. You know, legal teams, they need to start seeing sense, because I don't think it's doing them any favours. You're actually making them worse. Mental health. You know, I know guys who got the sentence, their wives had left them, their mums died, they were coming out to nothing, you know? Absolutely lost hope.
For low risk crime.
Yeah, low risk crime.
Right. Hey, dude. I thought you were actually bigger than that, Jay.
I know my weight keep. You know what it is? I find out here, because when you're inside and you're on a wing.
Listen, stop mumbling. We're professionals, all right? Say that again.
When you're inside, I find I put on weight because you're not doing much. You go to the gym, you're on the wing, but I found when you're out here and life goes on, my weight, man, it's just, I don't know, it's not like 16 stone. I can't get that 16 stone back.
Right, listen, yeah. I employed you. What did I employ you as?
I was on the healthcare as an orderly.
What's an orderly?
Just helping clean up, doing the servery, things like that.
Serving meals?
Yep, serving meals. I mean, on the healthcare it was a bit different. I mean, on the wings, if someone's a cleaner, they're usually just a cleaner. Then you've got your servery lads. But when you're on the healthcare, you're a bit of a jack of all trades.
Jack of all trades. Did I ever have you stood for an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours talking to someone who was mentally unwell?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, of course I did.
Yeah.
Now I'm smiling now. We had a lot of people on there who were ill, and I've said before, quite often we had very few staff, 2 officers, plus the nursing staff. So the lads who were the orderlies were an extension, yeah? And they did help us out, and they spent time with people who weren't well, talking to them, particularly through a lockdown. If there were only me on there, and Jay, and Lloydie, and who's that other guy now?
Paul was there.
Oh yeah, Paul Doyle of Salford.
Yeah, Brooksley at one stage.
Yeah, all good lads. Yeah, criminals, you won't want to be messing with them. However, in there, gentlemen, and helped us with a job. Yeah. So Jay, you were talking about visits, mate. Tell me about family visits. I'll tell you a bit first, right? The visits hall in Strangeways is quite big. Used to be manned by visit staff who people used to think were lazy, but they did a good job. Yeah, it's a big visits hall, cameras, walking around, make sure people aren't passing and the like. But also, as prison officers, you're dealing face to face with the public. Yeah, so you know, you have to try and be a bit professional or whatever.
Yeah.
Family visits. Explain what a family visit were, Jay.
Oh, family visits were...
In fact, hold that. Stop mumbling. Speak up, lad. Come on.
Oh.
There you go.
Family visits were great. As an IPP, I think when they first come out, they were for lifers. Or I think at first it was lifers.
Did you not have to be enhanced as well?
Yeah, you had to be enhanced. Lifer, IPP, but then they changed the criteria for longer term prisoners. But the reason why it was good is when on a normal visit you get an hour.
Yep.
You're not allowed contact. However, you know, you'd be times where you...
Minimal contact. What are you allowed? Yeah. Officially, a hug at the beginning.
At the start, a hug at the end. That's
and if you've got kids, can you have kids on your knee?
Sometimes it depends.
Can you put them on the table?
No.
No. Nothing on the table?
No.
Lids on your cups?
Yeah, lids on your cups. Underneath the table, you couldn't play footsies. There's a barrier. But on family visits, it was a bit more laid back. You could go down, you could interact with your children, they'd have activities, you could make them a slushie.
You said that we had different governors, and a governor brought that family visits in, didn't he?
Oh, yeah.
How long was it? 3 hours?
Yeah, 3-hour visit, usually in the morning right up till lunchtime. And
very laid back, weren't it, for prison?
Very laid back for a category A jail from what we were used to. But it helped in a way, you know, it helped kind of bring your family closer, because obviously years and years and years of being in there, it was really good. And the interesting thing is, obviously the officers, they police it obviously, but also with the prisoner there was an unwritten rule that anyone caught abusing that trust that we were given, because everybody wanted to see their families. A lot of the guys in there, you know, yeah, they've done naughty things, but they're family men, they've got wives, they've got kids, and it was an unwritten rule that if anybody breached that, I think the prisoners had their own way of dealing with it as well.
So, family visits.
Mm-hmm.
Jay may or may not know the officer, I don't know whether you can remember her, who used to organise it. Let me tell you, she grafted that lass. Chased a lot of things up, she made it happen, put a lot of time in, going around the wings, checking lads out. It was all above board, and she did a good job.
Yeah.
Like everything, there's always one person who's going to fuck it up for everyone else. Jay had an idea, so one lad decided, his missus was there. How many people, roughly, families were there? How many lads? Maybe 30?
Yeah, about 30 sometimes.
30 prisoners, mistresses, maybe mothers as well,
yeah.
Kids running about. This lad decided to get his missus on his lap and do the do, if you know what I mean, in front of all the kids and all the families, and that were family visits. Wrote off. And
from what I gather, I think that lad got in a lot of trouble off the guys. But yeah, I heard about that.
A lot of trouble.
Yeah, he got a lot of trouble when the lads on the wing found out, because obviously you got big men. You got proper heavy people who relied on them. You know, they like to see their kids, and that one guy messed it all up.
Yeah. Which is what always happens.
I mean, who does that in front of their children anyway, mate? I mean, jeez, I mean, it's a bit wrong.
Exactly.
It's wrong.
Moving on. So that's end of K-Wing. There's the tower, and this side, our side of the tower, is the healthcare.
Yeah.
Just
I've got some
tell
memories.
me. Just, what are you laughing at?
No, because it just reminds you know what it is. I'm looking at it, you know, because I spent so many years. I was here for 8.5 years. You know, it just brought like the.
Have you got any good memories?
Yeah, of course. I've had some laughs in there. You know.
Did you have some laughs on the healthcare?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, that was the best bit of jail I ever done. It was a nice environment. It was
right, Jay.
You know,
Jay.
Yeah.
The environment, yeah.
Yeah.
22-bed unit. We had some people who were seriously unwell.
Yeah, very unwell.
It had its own smell.
Yep.
So you're just saying it was a nice environment. What do you mean? I'll tell you what you mean. You're talking about the staff-prisoner relationship.
Yeah, the staff-prisoner relationship was. I've never seen anything like it. It was really, you know, everyone knew. No one took liberties. Everyone was polite. Obviously, that went down to the staff who they hired as well, because obviously, you guys used to vet everybody that come up there. But you know, I don't know. You felt part of the team, and you know the staff were doing their job. We had our job.
How do you think the nursing staff looked after people?
I think they done a great job with what they were working with. You know, seen them sometimes seen them, you know, short of staff and everything. And
Did you ever see them upset when they couldn't help people?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I have seen that, definitely. Yeah.
What about the officers on there?
The officers were kind, though, always fair, always trying their best. There was no macho thing going on. You know, always trying to help the lads out. But you had some really dangerous guys on there. Some of them were a bit anti-authority because they had mental health issues, and that's where we'd come in and try and help the staff, you know, and give them a bit of advice, you know. Yeah, I quite liked it up there. Every time I came back, I wanted my job back up there. Do you know what I mean?
You used to get a job. Why did you get a job, Jay?
Because of you. Well, yeah, you selected. You selected, and you guys always treated me
well, here's the
fairly,
thing. Here's the thing, yeah. What I needed were people. What we all needed were people who were user friendly. A lot of young nurses on there. Staff, seriously ill people. We did get some undesirables on there as well, didn't we?
Oh yeah, definitely.
However, just had to be professional, get on your job, didn't you? You're always kept busy.
Yeah.
Open you up first thing in the morning, lock you up last thing at night. Good at gym when you wanted.
Yeah. And you don't get that on a normal wing, so yeah, you'd be out at, I think it was 7:30, you'd be out. Usually take about maybe 2 hours to do your job in the morning, which was obviously because it's a healthcare, it has to be up to NHS requirement. So you'd have to clean the servery, you'd have to make sure the floors are buffed, everything's
showers.
Clean. Yeah, showers. You do the lads' laundries. But also it was unique in the way it's a Category A unit as well. So.
Correct. We always had pretty much had a Cat A prisoner on there, didn't we?
Yep. Category A unit. But what was unique about up there? It's the only place I've been where.
Cracking view at Nick. So Jay, some good times and a laugh.
Yeah.
Worst person you ever come across?
Oh man, it has to be that fella Mark Bridger. The worst
Mark
person I ever
Bridger.
met in there. The worst fellow I ever met in there. And, I think he had a big impact on both of us, didn't he?
He did. I think he had an impact on the whole unit, really.
Yeah, the whole unit. Disgusting.
We knew what it was, didn't we?
Definitely. He gave me sleepless nights. I mean, I don't even know how I kept my patience with him. But in the end, you know, my family encouraged me that I could help out in a way. So I didn't like the guy at all. He's one of the most evilest people that I've ever met in my life. Disgusting.
It is. I said I hated him and people questioned that, but quite definitely the worst person I have ever met.
But in your defence, Sam, you know, as a guy that was there at the time, that was your morals of what he did, because I had that moral. I despised him for what he did, but no one ever targeted him. No one ever did anything to him.
People won't understand that, will they, Jay?
Everyone, you were still, you know, you're allowed to your personal opinion, but you never was unprofessional with him. You know, none of us were with him. You know?
The thing is, when you're dealing with people like Mark Bridger, who was a creature, I did hate him. Punched him in the face every single day. Not literally. I would have liked to. I would have liked to.
Oh, I did a lot more worse than that in my head. Let me tell you.
but the thing is, right, the lads. Right, set aside, like I say, we had some lads on. A lot of the lads we had on there were hard lads, trust me, you know, big criminals, on the out, you won't want to mess with them. But they just got on with the job, they were gentlemen with the nursing staff, the nursing managers, they were looked after, and they were well liked. The nursing staff liked them, and they helped us. So they kept out of that side of it, they were professional and just dealt with people. For me, it's not a job everyone could do, right? I love the staff on there. You get lads on there who'd help you out in association. You could have a crack and a laugh, which made it bearable, because a lot of time you were on your own or there were nobody. So if I was in association with maybe a dozen nutters, and by that I mean lads who weren't well, not being disrespectful, not wired right, waiting to go to hospital, and there were some dangerous ones. These lads have been there.
Some famous names have passed through.
Yeah, of course there is.
Yeah, a lot of famous names.
Infamous.
Yeah, infamous.
A lot of infamous. But these lads, you know, they play pool, they come in, they chat with the lads who weren't well, which made our job easier. easier.
Easier.
Made our job earlier. Oh my Lord, losing the plot. But yeah, there were some creatures on there.
Yeah,
Not the same as a VP wing, right? A lot of lads on there were normal lads.
Yeah.
You know, there were lads that come on there I'd known for 10 years in private sector prisons and elsewhere who become unwell.
Yeah.
Very strange place to work. It had its own smelling atmosphere, and pretty much governors kept away, didn't they?
Yeah, you'd rarely see a governor unless something big.
It was like being self-employed, weren't it? You come in the morning, get on with job. A governor might pop in, like Mr. Vince. He'd always come on, find out how people were, but the majority of governors kept away, didn't they?
Unless the only time you'd see where the governors flooded the place is if they didn't, or when you'd get, as you said, the infamous high-profile names on there.
Did it not sicken you how some people, for me, they'd be like, you know, I like this way, walk this way, Jay. You like get a crash on motorway, yeah? And you end up in a queue of traffic, and when you get to the front, there's a crash on the other side, and people are stopping and rubbernecking, yeah?
Yep.
Do you not think that people, when we had high-profile prisoners, had come on just for a nosy?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
You know, just to sort of involve themselves, or...
Yeah.
I could always imagine a lot of people at sort of dinner parties or at night, guess who I saw today, or guess who I spoke to?
Oh, definitely. When I was up there, we had a few high-profile ex-corrupt policemen. I noticed the governors would flood up there then. And then we had, when Mark Bridger was up there, they were up there literally all the time. What was his name? A guy called Victorino or something. He was from
Victorino Chua,
yes,
the Angel of Death.
You know, I was on the phone to my partner when he came on, and I just saw this little guy, and I started noticing, because of who he was, I started noticing governors were up there all the time. But when we didn't have so many high profile, you didn't really see, you know, you get the odd governor who cared, who'd come up to see how everything is, but normally you wouldn't see no one.
I liked it like that. Did you?
Yeah, it was a lot better. You'd find it get a bit intense when everybody was up there. You knew something was going on anyway.
The fewer the better. It's not on you for a minute, Jay. So, I've been asked quite a few times, ever seen any racist incidents? No, I didn't. And I'll tell you why. Because people very soon know who you are. Other officers know who you are. And them that, you know, would do things like that or call people, don't do it in front of people like me. Yeah. Prison service, definitely institutionally racist. 70s, 80s, National Front, POA, Prison Officers Association, the union, head of the union here, wearing National Front badges and the like. I know people who've been in, racist words and language used by the #1 governor at that time, who's quite infamous. So, from the horse's mouth, as it were, have you ever experienced, Jay, you know, racial abuse in prison?
No, never. When I was younger, in the YOIs, I bet that was a different time. You're talking about the 90s. HMP Onley got there.
Yep.
Was the only black lad. I was left. I was the only black lad.
Backs to the wall.
Well, not in the jail, but I mean on that intake on that day, I was the only black lad on the van. But all the white lads there, they were my friends. I knew him. And this officer, he said, "Which one's Dunkley?" I said, "Me." He said, "Right, you're last." I couldn't figure it out because I don't know these people. So all the lads went through.
Yep.
And I know it's crazy, but I noticed as I went through to the reception, there was a gate. Now this gate stayed open while everybody else went through, but when I went through, it was closed. So for some reason, that just, I don't know, my sixth sense was going. And let me tell you now, I got a hiding on my life that day. For no reason, for no reason. You could see that they were egging it on. They kept asking me mad questions. I was giving them polite answers, and it was turning a bit rude, very uncomfortable. Next thing, I was over a desk. I couldn't see who it was because I had my head down. They were hitting me. I was being called black this, black that. But then when we went on the wing, the lads that came with me weren't happy about it because I refused to come out myself. I was kind of intimidated. I thought, wow, do you know what I mean? I didn't even come out for my meals. And I think the lads complained to a governor, this woman governor, come to see me. And I think she addressed it, because the same staff were there when I left that prison.
Yep.
And they didn't say nothing to me. I mean, it was silent. I mean, it was a bit eerie.
Well, good on her, because there's no need for that, is there, dude?
There's no need for it, but I remember as they were doing it, the only thing I could find to, I don't know, to make me feel like I was winning in that situation, I kept saying, no matter what you do, I'm coming out on my day or something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I felt like they were trying to get me in a situation.
Did it teach you anything, Jay? Did it teach you a lesson?
It didn't teach me no lesson. I just thought, you know, I was a bit horrified, because you think, you know, these are members of staff, you know what I mean?
Supposed to be professional.
Yeah, and they're supposed to be there for your safety as well. How is that safety for how was that safety for me? You know what I mean? I'm not being funny, so if it's not a prisoner beating me up, that's what you'd expect. You'd expect a violent con, you're all in prison, he's murdered, he beats you up. Not a member of staff, not a gang of staff. You know, we're talking about 5 of them or something on top of me, and that was when I was in YOIs. Now, I've not experienced that since when I came here. I never experienced nothing like that. I think the only incident where it had anything to do with race was, I think, on B-Wing, a lad came on, and I think somewhere along the line he let it be known that he supported the BNP or something. And obviously it wasn't just the black lads that had the ump, even the white lads ran him off the wing, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
So overall, your experiences...
It's not usually tolerated by the lads, you know what I mean? Like, honestly, I'll be honest with you, Sam, even with the white, if someone comes on the wing, because you've got to remember it's a different age now, so a lot of the lads inside, a lot of the white lads, black lads, some of them have grew up together, you know what I mean? And I'm telling you now, I've seen it, like when that lad came on B-Wing and he was doing that stuff, yeah? It was the white lads and the black lads who ran him off, so that says something.
It does, mate.
Yeah. What was his name? Leroy? I'm sure his name was Leroy. Oh, die, man. Well known. Well,
so, any officers that you liked, Jay?
Yeah, of course, obviously.
Why? What makes an officer likeable? Let's imagine now that me and you, we are available prison service, if you want us to do a video, a training video. What, for you, makes a good prison officer? Hold the mic to you.
I think what makes a good prison officer is fair but firm, because obviously we're not stupid, you know, the environment, there's a lot of troubled people there, there's a lot of people who will try and breach security, there's a lot of people who are violent.
It's a game, innit, Jay?
Yeah, but then I think the prison service should train people who have brain cells, who have a common sense. Yeah, common sense to know.
Common sense, that's it. Just need fucking common sense. You don't need GCSEs, you don't need degrees. You need to be able to talk to people in common sense. And right now, the training is not appropriate. Yeah? Get people like Jay, you know, he's quite well spoken. People like this in prison service college, put them in front of new recruits so they can ask questions. What makes a good officer? What makes a bad officer? Yeah? That'd be more appropriate, you know, putting everyone in a room for 2 hours asking people like Jay questions, and some of the shite they do. You see an art is worthwhile, everything else ain't worth a toss. Common sense, he said it. Common sense.
Knowing the difference between and assessing situations. I mean, like they do, like in the army, you know, same thing. When you're on the wing, yeah, there is times where you have to be firm, you know, never, you know, as much as...
Have you ever seen me angry?
I've never seen, I've seen you a bit frustrated, but not where it would come out in your work. I've never seen you use your anger in your job towards anybody like that, no. Yeah, I've seen you frustrated with a situation or whatever, but yeah. No. How do I say it? That's what I mean. How do I say it? This is what I mean. Like, some people, they come in and they will take it personal. They will start hating that person and this person. But then, yeah, you're allowed your personal opinion, but you have to be professional. When it starts getting to the point where it's affecting your job and you're doing things to prisoners because you don't like them or whatever, I mean, then you've got a problem, innit? It's not, and it makes it dangerous for everybody.
Well, let's face it, mate, you're not above the law, are you?
No one's above the law.
At the end of the day, these lads locked up for violence, and some of the violence perpetrated by staff on prisoners was far worse than anything they'd done to get locked up in the first place. However, I always like to say this as well, Jay. A lot of good people in there,
Yeah,
a lot of them who probably shouldn't have been prison officers, but they tried hard.
No.
They treated and spoke to people right, and they were decent people.
Look, listen, I can't. Do you know, I've been to a lot of prisons and that, and I would say that for the way the staff treated you, and I'd say Strangeways was the best one that I've ever been in. And I spent 8.5 years in there. 8.5 years. You know, yeah, spent 8.5 years in there, and I think because of the way that I would approach officers and speak to them, I got the same back. And then obviously we're here today because, you know, you did your job, you were fair, you know, you always treated me well, you always had, and you know what, you even had advice. I mean, I took some of the advice that you give me in my personal life. You've even helped me in my personal life, so I can't fault that, you know. I think everything that you're doing to kind of, you know, you're not here to you know, ridicule or what, but
not
you're
here
saying
to
it as
pan
it
the
is.
prison service.
You're saying it as it is. It might make it better. You know, people, if they took an interest in some.
Well, for me, it's the training. You know, yeah, you need a certain type of person. However, if people are forewarned, you tell them what they can expect and how to behave. For me, the best people, training people, should be the best staff. There's probably one or two there, but usually jobs like training, you know, you're not in a prison, you're not on a landing when it's kicking off and people are getting slashed, stabbed, hot water chucked in the faces and everything else. People who tend to be tossed usually migrate to the jobs where there's no prisoner contact. Easy job training, prison officer training. I'm not saying it's an easy job with the people they're getting. What I'm saying is, on a landing, yeah, opening up every day, the stress of it, or being in training college, but you know, you need them good staff. You need people with common sense, people who are going to say it how it is, people who weren't bullies.
No, that's what you need, because I mean, this is one of the good things. Like, we're walking around here now, it brings back memories. I mean, look, for instance, we've got the walkway.
Do you feel safe with me, Jay?
Yeah, of course I do. We got the walkway, the workshops on that side. I remember walking across there.
Did you ever go to work? This is the building before.
Yeah, I've walked through.
So this side is the prison, and that side, which is huge.
It's like the industrial bit.
Yeah, it's the industrial bit. The workshops, the gym,
yeah,
kitchens, laundry.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, going back to what you were saying, it's like, all right. I think some of the powers that be, some of the videos you do, as an ex-prison officer, you're doing it with guys that were under your care when we were here, and
that is just it. That's what people don't understand. People are in your care.
No, that's what it is. You are
in this job. People wouldn't like to say that, would they? They don't want to think that.
We haven't been sent there by the judge to get beaten up, or we're sent there because we become. How do I say? We're not functioning in society too well. We're doing things that normal people wouldn't do for whatever reason, and we've been sent there to.
We don't rehabilitate it. However, you know, if I treat people properly and other staff treat people properly,
that can make the difference.
It can.
That's something. I mean, it made a difference to me. I mean, I don't know. I remember being here, and you know what? I was just doing my thing. I remember coming on the healthcare, and we used to have talks, and you know, the staff treated us well, and I met good lads, and I seen, you know, I learned a lot, seeing how ill people could be, and you know, and then I don't know. I just decided
some of them people shouldn't have been in jail. So did you?
They should have been. I was horrified. I mean, some of them, I remember sitting there when I was on B wing, and there was a guy who had an illness that he thought the walls, the floor, the ceiling, everything was trying to eat him. And I, because I think in the end they rang healthcare. I think he ended up on healthcare. Yeah, but this was in my earlier days, you know, when I first come in, 2007, 2008, something like that. And yeah, he ended up on the healthcare. But I was thinking to myself, this guy would have went caught. And what I saw, I mean, this guy was sitting there, like, one minute it was the ceiling, he was ducking down, next minute he was jumping up in the air because the floor, the walls. I had to go get a member of staff, and I said, I can't interview him. I said, and they didn't believe me. I think they thought I was exaggerating, and so I think they ran the healthcare. And I was just thinking, this judge saw him.
He would have been in court like that, and he sent him to prison. What about, you know, he needed a hospital. You know, that's what he needed.
He disappeared then, mate.
He needed a hospital, but that's what they're doing nowadays. They're criminalising people. And then I'm seeing them people, because you've got a lot of immature guys on the wing. So, especially now, they're putting 21-year-olds, 19-year-olds.
18. Are you on about staff?
Staff and cons. I mean, I was in Forest Bank. I never seen, there was 18, 19-year-olds running around with us. But then, here's the thing, two things. If one of them attack you and you hit them back, it's classed as a Schedule 1 offence. You actually get in trouble because they're classed as minors, even though they're the biggest bullies in there. They go around in gangs attacking all the older guys. And when the judges are sending people that are mentally ill onto the wings, it's very dangerous for them, because some of them guys are not mature enough to understand. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've seen a lot of the older guys, if they see a guy like that, you know, and they see people bullying them, they'll defend, you know, because you get good lads. But I've also seen it, like when I was in Forest Bank, listen, you know, I've seen people in there that were mentally ill, and they were being attacked, they were being bullied to smoke spice, that was killing them, you know, just made them worse. And these guys were getting bullied, and people thought it was actually funny, you know. And I've seen members of staff in there having a joke with lads when things like that was going on, and these guys are like literally dying. And
so somebody mentally unwell,
yeah, and
prisoners and staff taking the piss out of them,
sitting there taking the piss out of them, which I just thought was disgusting. And actually, I told you, Sam, I said that experience made me go, I don't want to go back in there.
He's not going back in Forest Bank, but we're going to do a walk and talk around Forest Bank,
yeah,
and speak about Jay's experience.
I've got something to say about this bit. Now, this bit here is the front of the prison. Now, this bit brings back memories, because when I was on B-Wing, there's a certain floor, and everybody wanted that side because it gives you a view of the outside world. So I just remember the memories of, I did 8.5 years, and before I went on the healthcare, I remember I used to go to my window and look, and I could see the casino up here.
Could you see people and that milling about?
Yeah, you could see people walking on a Saturday, man. This road, obviously it's very new road, and you know, it had two separate effects. So you kind of felt in tune, like you felt, you know, even though you was in there, and because you could see, because most prisons are in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So to stay here to do my sentence, I could see life moving, see people milling about and families. But on the other side as well, some days you'd miss it, you know, you'd see them and you think, man, I wish I could do that, do you know what I mean? But it kind of kept me sane, I think. I don't know, I just thought I'd say that. Yeah.
So, new prisons, people are losing the shit. Some of them have got like, maybe Cat C prisons, nice areas, view of a river, things like that. What would you say to people that say prisons aren't hard enough, they need to be tougher? You know, for me, go on.
I would say that they're wrong, you know. Prisons don't need to be tough, right? I mean, all right, let's look at America. They've got tough sentences, mate. You get 500 years just for whatever. And people over there, when they do something, they're likely to try and kill everybody and leave no witnesses. So, you know, that hard, like, yeah, let's brutalise them because they did something wrong.
Not so much the sentences, but
brutalising,
you know,
people don't work. What you've got to do?
Brutalising don't work.
No.
Treating people like animals, locking them up.
Does not work. If you treat someone like an animal, they're going to turn out. You're going to have a bigger threat when that person gets out. If you brutalise them and treat them like an animal. When, like I said, common sense, man. You know what I mean? If someone does something wrong, yeah, come down and you got everyone's safety to monitor in there. You got the staff, as well as my own safety. You know, I could be just having a meltdown, might have had a bad, I don't know, someone in my family might have died, I might kick off. That doesn't mean that, you know, you come in my cell and beat the, you know, sometimes it's getting maybe a familiar staff that you know, I don't know, that I get on with to talk to me, because I'm not going to attack a member of staff that I get on with. You know, just common sense.
How, right now, Jay, young staff, inexperienced staff, it's very violent environment,
it's very,
prisoners locked up at hours again. How would you get it back to, for instance, 214, 215, you're on healthcare, I'm on there, Strangeways is a good place to be, you said yourself, you felt safe, prisoners felt safe, yeah, staff felt safe. Yeah. How do we get it back to that?
Oh man, I don't know if they'll ever get it back to that. I don't know, I mean, they need to train people a lot more, give them more experience. I think that idea, what you said, where you get some maybe tried and ex-cons who have been through the system, who've changed their life, to go speak to members of stuff about, it's not just a job, it's the psychology of it. You're dealing with human beings. It's not just, you know, there's dangerous, not just dangerous in the physical sense, there's manipulators, there's, you know, you've got a young member of staff, and then you've got a hulking 7-foot guy with muscles who's a murderer, and he starts putting it on. You know, before long that person might be intimidated and be manipulated to do something. You know, it's as simple as that. They need to it really needs changing. And I think the problem that they're having is, if you let a situation grow too much, it's hard to get it back to how it was.
And that's where we are now.
I think it's getting like that. They need to do something, because it is getting bad. Like I said, I was in here. Now this place is a Cat A jail, right? So
yep, follow me.
I got used to the regime.
Over mic to your thing on here, mate.
I got used to the regime. And to be honest, I felt, you know, I found that most incidents that went on in here, if there was a bit of violence, the staff were on it. I mean, within seconds there'd be like 100 prison officers on that person. But in a way, it kept everyone safe. You know what I mean? Not only the person who's kicking, not only the two people fighting, but the staff as well.
That's a valid point. That.
But Forest Bank didn't have that. Like I was in Forest Bank, there was absolutely
no staff presence.
Just no control. A lot of bullying. It didn't feel policed in a professional way. It felt, it was just corrupt.
I'll tell you what the staff do there. They unlock people and lock people up, and that's it.
Yeah, just leave you to it, mate. And a lot goes on in there, mate. A lot goes on.
I know a lot of people sort of maybe not put their life online, but bad incidents. You know, somebody might be getting filled in or whatever. Your loved one might be getting filled in.
I've seen stuff. Yeah.
Just go in, try your best to break it up, or do whatever without no thought. That don't mean recklessness. You know, on K-Wing, 200 lads. If there's an incident, of course I know there's 200 lads going to be watching, and if you did something untoward or somebody else did, then possibly you're in a riot situation. But on the whole, prison staff tried to keep people safe.
Well, I've seen incidents where, and I've seen prison officers save cons' lives, and I've also seen cons save prison officers.
Yeah, definitely.
And that was out of that mutual respect, because, like I said, you were saying before, common sense. So you do. It's like when we was on the healthcare. I know for a fact, and this doesn't just go for me, the lads as well. The stuff that we had on there, if we saw one of the staff getting hurt, I know for a fact that we would have probably done security's job. We would have helped, and that's because of just the way it was, the teamwork that we had. You know, the staff looked after us, and we felt that loyalty to them.
People won't understand that, Jay. A lot of people think it's us and them.
No,
a lot of prison officers I work with others than them, and some prisoners us and them.
Don't get me wrong. The way they had it, like we were talking about the 80s, and the way it was then. Yeah, that's where that comes from. That's where that comes from, because, you know, it was all PCAT, like you said, racism, you know, people walking around with NFs, and it was that's what created it. But it's obvious that system doesn't work. You know what I mean? You've got to, how do I say? You've got to keep an open mind. Like I said, when I come, I didn't have an us and them mentality, because for me, you know, I had what issue have I got with this? They haven't done nothing to me. I mean, if how do I say? If a con was rude to me, yeah, and I'd have a problem with it. If a member of staff was rude for me, like we said, I didn't like it personally, but it was nothing to do with the uniform. It was nothing to do.
But you'd keep out of his way, wouldn't you? You knew what he was,
yeah.
And if you wanted something doing, you're going to come to me and not go to him, aren't you?
Even if I had an emergency, I would go to him, and that's how. And that's bad, because you shouldn't feel that way. You should feel that any member of staff, you should be able to approach them if you're entitled to it, or you know, or you know, you're in prison and something's happened in your family. You should be able to approach any member of staff and be able to say something. You know. You laughing at it?
I'm just thinking of something, you know, something crazy on healthcare and that, and something laughs.
We've had some right times though.
Yeah, it did.
Times
I had a lot of laughs, and do you know what? The last couple of walks I've done around here, because a lot of it is negative. You know, there's a lot of bad stuff in there. You always remember bad incidents.
But there's a lot of care in that. Listen,
yeah, they were.
Because people, I don't want to, because like I said, a lot of stuff in there, they were doing their jobs. They did care, you know what I mean? They were, you know, I've been on courses where you can see that the stuff that were trying to give you that advice on the course to change your life. You could see they were passionate, but then you'd see the ones that it was just a job.
Which is, you know, right, listen, I had no problem with them. If it were just a job, right, I didn't have a problem with them. They did the job, fair dues.
Yeah.
Didn't go the extra mile, you need them.
Yeah.
There were some who perhaps couldn't do the job, but tried. I didn't mind them. It was the bullies. There was just an element, and there was a small element of prisoners who, you know, they had no time for anybody, and you know, the really bad bullies or whatever, and it was a small element of staff. But vast majority, I've always said, of prisoners, credit where credit's due, more than 95% of prisoners just get on with the jail.
Yeah, do you know what I say? I always look at it like this: the staff come in every day, and they wanna be able to go home to their families every day. And when we come in and we do whatever time we've got to do, and we want to go home to our families. No one wants to come and lose their life, get disfigured, get boiling water poured on them, be bullied. You know, I've seen people bullied to the point of suicide. You know, that's not what you're here for. All that stuff is not what you're here for. It should be run professionally, and you know, I think they'd have a lot more. I don't know if they changed it up. They need more training. I don't think. How long did you say training was?
I don't think it's the duration. I think it's the quality, Jay.
The quality, but
6 quality weeks.
They're just trying to fill
speaking
spaces
to people, getting a better understanding of what it's about.
Yeah.
For me, it'd be better than any amount of paperwork. You can learn paperwork, rules and regs on the job.
Yeah.
But understanding the job, knowing how to speak to people, getting an understanding of that is far better. He mentioned a point there. Again, this is something that I like to mention from time to time. A lot of deaths in prison. You know, suicide has gone up. However, the figures on lives saved never come out. You know,
a lot of people's lives get saved in it. It's not easy, you know, and then and especially now this big influx of people with mental health that shouldn't even be in prison. They're not. Then half of them haven't even committed a crime. They're just being put in it.
This is what I said.
Yeah, they're just being put in it.
Police go to arrest them. They resist. They're not well. People don't understand them. They're in here for some.
I'll give you a quick story. We're talking about mental health. There was a guy on the healthcare, and I forgot his name. You know,
I'll remember it.
And he used to get up every morning, and he'd say, "Joe, they told me that I went to court yesterday, and I can't remember. Did I go to court yesterday?" And I go, "Yes, you did." He said, "What happened?" And this would be every day. And he'd come and ask me my name. "Excuse me, mate, what's your name?" He had bad dementia, and I just couldn't imagine.
Pete.
It's bad enough having it. Was it Pete, old guy?
Peter.
Now, this guy was old.
Fucking dementia in prison.
And, you know, and I find with people, because my nana had it, and she could be hostile because...
Aggressive.
Because she doesn't know who you, in her head, you're a stranger in her house. She doesn't know who you are.
I'll ask, bless her, work with people with dementia, and you're getting assaulted every day.
Yeah, they don't know who you are. You're just
one minute to the next, they don't know who you are, they'll assault you, and then they'll be crying and laughing with you.
Exactly. So the place to be, I mean, they stuck him in here amongst dangerous people, people that will exploit him, people that will go and, you know, gets his canteen and maybe a member stuff helps him fill it out. Next thing, a guy will go in, take it. He's not going to remember who it was. So he's going to be exploited, or someone will say, oh, give some a bit of baccy or whatever, take it off him. He's not going to remember, so that person's getting away with whatever. And it's just dangerous. He shouldn't have been in there. The judge should have seen that. Should have put him in a hospital where he belongs, where they're trained to deal with that.
We're going to pop round corner and we're going to finish on a lighter note.